Welcome to Fire TV's Bracket Breakdown, brought to you by Xfinity. One internet price preserved for 5 years. I'm Kyla Mills, thrilled to be joined here at the desk by former NBA star and Butler legend Gordon Hayward, North Carolina national champion Jesse Holley, and co-host of Locked On College Basketball, Isaac Shade, his better half, Andy Patton, over at the side set, going to be doing some interviews for us today, and we're looking forward to that. The field is set, the madness is about to ensue, and as you get ready to make your picks, we're walking you through the entire NCAA tournament bracket with key matchups to watch and upsets to put your money on. So let's get started. Will more history be in store in 2026 after 2025 was a memorable year for just the second time in NCAA tournament history? All number one seeds made the Final Four last year. The 2026 number one seeds hope to be as dominant. Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida all begin the march to Indy this weekend, all also looking to be extremely strong. Big picture expectations. Will this year's bracket be as chalky as last year, meaning the higher seed likely will win out? Gordon, what's your take?
You know what? This year, personally, I'm going to say no. I think there's a couple one seeds in particular that are beatable, in my opinion. Florida.
And what ones might that be?
Florida and Michigan. So a little Big Ten hatred coming here. But both those teams, as we discussed last night, almost limping into the dance here. And Michigan in particular, for me, when I watch them play, I need someone to show me that they're the guy. Like, they're the guy we can go to, we can lean on. Who do we need a bucket from? I don't know if they're kind of so deep and balanced. So it's like, who's going to be that person? And then you got the defensive player of the year. And while they're really good at the rim, can almost be a liability out there on the perimeter. And if we have a matchup where you go against Purdue, a guard and Braden Smith, who just switches on him 3 times in a row and just says he can't guard me, like that, to me, they're vulnerable.
No, you're absolutely right in that one. But the thing is that experience and, you having that length inside, you hope that can help you on the defensive end, because a lot of times in these games, it comes down to 1 or 2 shots in the game. And so hopefully having that type of size, having that type of, girth inside for Michigan will help them in this tournament run.
And in this chalky conversation, it seems like a lot of people assumed that last year, because now of NIL and the transfer portal making the rich richer, that everyone was asking us the questions, is this the new normal? I still believe and maintain that last year was the exception rather than the rule. We, for just the 6th time ever, got all 4 of the 1 through 4 seeds all the way to the second round. Only the 6th time that's ever happened. So not just the Final Four, but it happened early, where usually we're looking for those upsets early. I think that's a one-off. But if that's the case 2-3 years from now, come back to me and we'll talk again.
The reason why people watch is for the upsets. Come on now. Yes, you like to see the chalk happen when it's your pick, but also the fun part about the first round is those upsets. And we're going to take a look at some of those different matchups that could go either way. And our experts are going to give the analysis on exactly where they fall in some of those. Let's start at the East region. Duke is the number 1 seed in the East, UConn number 2, and Michigan State number 3 in that region. This portion of the bracket loaded with coaching legends, by the way, which we're going to talk about in a separate show. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Now, looking at a couple of the different matchups, whether it be 5-12, 6-11, those types of games, Louisville, South Florida is one that a couple of these experts here at our desk have their eye on. Let's start with you, Jesse. 2 high-scoring offenses, 2 fast-paced teams, and maybe potential for an upset?
There may be a potential for upset, because and here's why. You look at South Florida and what they do offensively, high-powered offense, right? One of the highest-scoring offenses in the league. They have players on there like Wes, right? Wes Ennis, and he talked about 107 3-pointers that he's made on the season. The problem is that South Florida doesn't have many out-of-conference wins. When they go up against the big schools, they suffer a little bit. And I got a chance to watch Louisville in person. Now, Mikael Brown Jr., the injury of the back. We don't know what that's going to be, but I got a chance to watch them in person. And when you talk about one of the freshmen, and we'll talk more about freshmen being able to take over games, they run that high screen and roll. And when he comes off that high screen and roll, he is looking to get the ball up. They pass it around the perimeter, but they want to get shots up. I don't know if South Florida has the firepower to take on one of these ACC big school programs and win.
Mikael Brown Jr. broke the freshman scoring record in the ACC with 45 points against NC State. The consensus I've seen, Isaac, from experts is if he's healthy, this Cardinals team could go extremely far. If not, what's your evaluation?
The nice thing is they've still got some other great pieces in that backcourt alongside Michael Brown Jr., who has had to learn to step up, similar to Darren Peterson being out so much at Kansas. They've had guys step up. So you've got Ryan Conwell, for example, who is electric, coming over from the Big East last year. He's done a great job for Pat Kelsey this year. You've also got Isaac McNeely that came over from Virginia. All of those dudes can fill it up. But when you're so reliant on the three, one bad day and you're cooked. But that's what's interesting about this game. Both of these teams are trying to do that.
So that's why I could see this being upset potential, because one team has a great three-point shooting day, the other team has an off three-point shooting day. We were talking about it off the air. In a 7-game series, the more talented roster wins, right, in Louisville.
Yes.
But one 40-minute game, if you're not shooting the ball at the clip you usually are, does Louisville have enough diversity in their offense to score in other ways? And I'm looking at all of you, and I don't feel like they do. Am I wrong, Gordon? I know you're just trying to you've been poking at me all week. I mean, it's been 24 hours, and you're just trying to give me a hard time.
Yeah,
all right, you like Louisville.
I'm with Louisville because 45 points is unreal. I mean, for him to be able to do that as a freshman is crazy.
Anybody.
Anybody,
exactly.
let alone a freshman.
And so when they're at their best, they can beat the best. I mean, they can play with anybody. So as you said, though, it's one game. So they might not be at their best. And then we saw last year, we were talking about Cooper Flagg. Is he going to play? Is he injured? We saw Kahn really step up. Who's going to be that guy for Louisville that steps up?
That is the question. You look like you had something to add there.
No, I was going to say, Conwell will be that guy. He's the heart and soul of this team, in that backcourt.
So are we split here at the desk in terms of who's calling upset and who's going Louisville?
I've got USF.
I got Louisville.
I've got USF. Can we call it?
We need a tiebreaker.
Can
We need a
phone
tiebreaker.
Friend, millionaire style. Andy, is it going to be USF that gets the win or Louisville?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, Gordon, Jesse. I'm going to go with USF.
Let's go.
So, yeah, I think that again, they're talented. I think Louisville's questionable in what they're going to do. I'm going to take South Florida.
All right, I love it. I'll take the dub when I can get one. Let's move along to another interesting matchup from this portion of the bracket, and that's UCLA taking on UCF. Isaac, UCLA finally coming into form during this recent stretch, and then during the course of the Big Ten tournament, your two stars deal with injuries in Donovan Dent, the point guard, and big man Tyler Bilodeau. Yeah. How do you feel about the Bruins heading into the NCAA tournament given the injuries?
It's one of those that we, at this point, aren't necessarily sure exactly how these guys are going to be. Mick Cronin said on Monday that it looks like Donovan Dent could go today, but that Tyler Bilodeau might need another day or two to get back and ready. He had that knee sprain, suffered in the like kind of a scrum there in the painted area. They need both of these dudes. Now, preseason, all due respect to Braden Smith, Donovan Dent was my pick for Big Ten Player of the Year. He's finally living up to that potential. And as long as that calf, if that's good to go, Donovan Dent could be the difference maker in this game. But here's the truth of the matter. I need UCLA to win because I need a Mick Cronin and Danny Hurley press conference craziness in the set. Can you imagine the hijinks that would ensue?
So, Jesse, who's going to be more angry on the sideline if that matchup were to take place?
Ooh.
Is it Mick or is it Bobby? I guess it depends on whose team's winning, right?
Listen, I'm a Jersey guy. Bobby's a Jersey guy. So I definitely know it's going to be Bobby.
Danny.
Danny. They're all the Hurleys.
All the Hurleys. That's true. I think I said Bobby first.
Bobby's looking for a job.
Right, he's looking for a job.
Right. Which Hurley is going to be angrier? We don't know. That's a separate conversation. But you'll love to see the fieriness of all of those coaches. We also want to talk about a 3 seed that is very intriguing in this portion of the matchup, and that is the Michigan State Spartans out of the Big Ten. So you know that I love to hear it. They're a team to keep an eye on, again, with that 3 seed, opening up tournament play, taking on North Dakota State. Andy Patton is joined by a special guest with more.
Matt. We got a number 3 seed for the Spartans this year. We got a matchup against North Dakota State, potential matchup against either Louisville or popular upset pick South Florida there as the 11 seed. Then, of course, potentially UConn after that. Obviously, this team was kind of in that 2 seed conversation for a while. A little bit of stumble down the stretch, end up on the 3 line. What do you think about the draw and the path to the Sweet 16 for the Spartans team?
Conflicted, obviously. Hey, sliding down to a 3 seed didn't make life any easier for us, but the objective college basketball fan is actually pretty happy they're finally taking Big Ten tournament results into account here when it comes to making this bracket. So I hope they continue to do that, because I've seen my team win the Big Ten tournament final and not be rewarded. Not that I'm salty about it at all. So yeah, I'm kind of torn here. I'm not upset with it. Michigan State kind of made their own bed by losing to UCLA immediately in the Big Ten tournament. So bummed, but hey, it's good for the sport. We'll take it.
Tom Izzo, always a factor in March. There's a reason they say January, February Izzo. Looking at this team, again, like you said, 2-game losing streak, didn't exactly end the season on a super high note. Is that something you're concerned about? It's a veteran team, obviously a legendary coach. You feeling worried about that, or are you feeling like, we're going to rally the troops and get this thing going?
You know what? You got to nitpick everything this time of the year, right? So, look, while I've seen a good Michigan State team, even in one of those losses at Michigan, I think they still played pretty well. But matter of fact is, this is 3 straight games to end the season where you let the other team score at least 80 points. In the last 2 games against Michigan and UCLA, they were just dotting threes all over the place. The defense on these driving kicks was not there. When I see a team like North Dakota State that has 5 guys that shoot at least 37% from 3, get a little scared. And then, oh God, across the aisle from us, that's Louisville, a team that has the 4th highest 3-point rate in the nation. So, yeah, Andy, am I a little concerned? Yes. Am I hopeful? Also, yes. But this is what March is all about. Just talking yourself into circles and just changing your opinion on your own team every 5 minutes. So, yeah.
Looking at this team, obviously we know Jeremy Fear's been in the news for lots of different things. Most notably, his passing, we'll say that. Phenomenal passing player, huge assist rates. Obviously the rebounding for this Michigan State team has been tremendous as well, Cooper and Kohler. Outside of those guys, is there kind of a significant X factor for this team? We know that the injury for Divine Ugachukwu, a big storyline for them as well, but is there somebody who you think could be the player that steps up and helps this team make a run in March?
No, fantastic. And I'm glad you only brought up what everyone's talking about with Jeremy Fears, just the passing,
just the
assist. So thank you very much for that, Andy. I'm going to go with Jordan Scott here. Now, this is a guy that was thrust into this starting 2-guard role, and this was after Divine's injury. And as a true freshman, he's been dynamite on the defensive end. The offensive end, he started with just double-digit scoring game one after one. But I do wonder if we are hitting a little bit of a wall here offensively because, well, his minutes have peaked. And also, when he's on defense, he's getting tough assignments. So as he hit the freshman wall, he hasn't been in double-figure scoring in a few games right now. So that's the X factor. If he can use this 6-day break that he's gotten to get his legs back, that's going to be paramount here. We need a good Robin in the backcourt to Jeremy Fears' Batman. So I'm going to go with Jordan Scott here as the X factor.
Thank you, Matt. Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, I got a lot of hope in this Spartans team, a lot of optimism for them. I think they're making a deep run this year. I'm not going to be surprised to see Tom Izzo and the Spartans back in the Elite Eight, maybe even in the Final Four.
Oh, come on. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, Andy. I needed to hear that, so thank you. Thank you.
But first, folks, today's episode brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when the momentum shifts, you can move along with it. I always knew the game, but I didn't really have a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. And now I can actually take part live in a market powered by the people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. Spring is here. Woo! It is the perfect time to watch a whole bunch of basketball and start your spring cleaning, refresh your space, make your home feel better for you. Whether it's updating a room, adding some outdoor furniture, organizing that cluttered corner. We're getting ready to move. There's a lot of cluttered corners in our house right now. It is a great chance to bring a fresh look to your home or to your new home. That's where Wayfair comes in. From furniture and decor to organization solutions and outdoor essentials, Wayfair makes it easy to find pieces that match your style and your budget. What I like about shopping on Wayfair, it's just so simple. You can filter by style, you can filter by size, price, so you find exactly what works for your space. And options like easy assembly or installation, it makes the whole process super smooth from the order time to the setup time. So whether it's a new desk, some storage solutions, outdoor pieces for spring, it's easy to find something that fits your budget and style. Find furniture, decor, and essentials that fit your unique style and budget. Head to Wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Let's head now to the West region, where the number 1 seed is Arizona, number 2 is the Purdue Boilers, the 3 seed is the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and the 4 seed is the Arkansas Razorbacks with that Tyson chicken money. Isaac?
That's really cool for them. I'm so happy. Cluck, cluck, baby, let's go!
Thank you. We had to get a cluck cluck in. And if you missed this show last year, we got plenty of animal noises from Isaac Shade, so that is something to look forward to. The regional championship in this region will be played in San Jose. Now, the game to zero in on here is the 8 versus 9. Villanova taking on Utah State. Bit of a toss-up. Utah State, the higher seed, but they are favored on paper. Now, a stat to keep in mind, the 9 seed wins nearly 52% of the time, all time in NCAA tournament history. Last year, they split 2-2. Gordon, which way are you leaning?
Yeah, it's a pick'em game, really. I mean, you could go either way with this one. I think for me, I think I need to lean for Utah State here. It's a little bit of a conundrum, though. You got Utah State being favored here. Vegas thinks they're going to win, but you have the whole general rule of thumb: don't pick a Mountain West team to win a game in the NCAA tournament. So what do you do here? Although I think it's favorable matchup this time for Utah State. They're going up against a Villanova team that playing in the Big East this year. It's a down year for the Big East. Not a huge Villanova team either. It's not like a size thing, and that's something you look out for with the Utah State. Can they handle the size? So I think that's a good thing for them. Utah State relies on their backcourt. That's really their strength with Mason Falslev and MJ Collins, another guy that had a 40 ball this year, so he can go nuclear as well. Willer's got this team, Villanova, kind of going back in the right direction. It's good to see that for Villanova.
That's right.
Love to see that for them, but I'm going Utah State.
To me, Utah State is being highly undervalued, and Coach Calhoun has been very vocal about that and being frustrated at where they've even been seated. The fact they won both the Mountain West regular season and tournament titles. Of course, as Gordon just mentioned, there's kind of this big thing about not taking Mountain West teams. What, realistically, do you feel like Utah State has to do to pull off that upset, Isaac?
Well, the combo that Gordon just talked about is so true. Mason Falslev, I talked about preseason picks of the year. He was my Mountain West preseason pick for player of the year. I love MJ Collins as well. He's been around the bush a little bit, trying to figure out where he was going to go. Is that a phrase? I don't know.
I think you made that up.
I think I made that up.
Beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush. Been around the block.
Been around the block. You combine the two.
I'm like Biff Tannen from Back to the Future,
baby.
combining my. There you go. So anyway, I really think that I'm with Gordon here. Utah State is the team, and it's this combo in the backcourt that's going to take them home.
How about Kevin Willard, though, doing the job that he's done at Villanova? First year there and able to totally revamp this roster, overperforming expectations. Picked to finish 7th in the Big East preseason poll. Now, granted, it was a down year for the Big East, but still impressive to see what he's been able to do. Let's talk about another matchup from this region. That's number 7 Miami taking on number 10 Missouri. Isaac, the first year for Jay Lucas at Miami. Speaking of coaches outperforming expectations, that certainly is the case. Malik Reneau, kind of the centerpiece of that team. Can they get past an inconsistent SEC team in Mizzou?
Yes, in short. But the thing, you hit on it, Kyle, and one of the great things about the ACC is they're finally finding some coaches to help return the ACC to its former luster. Obviously, we got Ryan Odom at Virginia. They finished 2nd at the conference. But Jay Lucas at Miami, they finished 3rd, and they have been doing it. Malik Reneau brings things. He was a first-team All-ACC player this year. They got Trey Donaldson. They got Ernest Uday in the front court with Reneau that I just don't know that Mizzou's going to be able to contend with. They've been up and down all season, lost their final 3 games, 5 of their final 8. I think Miami, man, it's so good to be talking about 2 Miamis in this tournament, by the way, right? We have to specify which one. Miami, the U, shouts to our guy Alex Dono. I think the Canes are going to get this one done.
And I'll also add to that, it's the physicality. When you watch Miami play, they have this level of toughness. When they walk on the floor, they feel like if we can't beat you with our athleticism, we're going to just bully you. And when you have that type of toughness about you, a lot of times other teams can't withstand that. And they bring that every single minute of the game, and they just feel like we're going to will our way to victory.
Big Duke connections here, too, by the way. Mizzou's leading scorer, Mark Mitchell, who used to be at Duke. Obviously, Jay Lucas was an assistant at Duke, took Shelton Henderson with him, who was a Duke commit, and Dante Allen, who's a backup point guard. Knight Riders AAU teammates with the Boozers who won Peach Jam together. So it's all going back to Durham, North Carolina.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing to have Duke connections, though? I mean,
you know what? I don't think it can ever be a bad thing to have Duke connections in college basketball.
I was going to say it's a bad thing if you're sitting at this desk with 2 guys who know a thing or two about the Tar Heels. So, look, I'm not going that direction. Gordon, when it comes to this game, do you feel like this could be a game where physicality is going to decide the winner? You've played in a lot of these high-pressure situations, and I do think that a lot of times in the NCAA tournament, the team that comes out and hits first ends up being able to get it done. What's your take?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, Jesse, being tough translates.
Yes.
It goes on the road. It travels with you. Even if you're not making shots, if you're defending and you're tough, you'll be in the game. You'll give yourself a chance. So love the fact that you talked about that. And, I think the toughest team usually wins. The toughest team always sets the rules, and they're the ones that usually win.
And you were pushing people around back in your day, right?
A little bit. A little throw some balls in there, a little luck if you buck, if you would say, what I mean? I wasn't afraid of that a little bit.
I love that earlier that when we were off the air, Gordon asked Isaac if he played at North Carolina. I still haven't recovered from that.
I'm 5'11", 180 something. I was trying to imagine, Jesse was a wide receiver at North Carolina. I would have gotten blown up.
Yeah, we saw how big your hands were yesterday. That doesn't fare well.
Watch.
That doesn't fare too well with.
It's so bad.
Yeah, that's
I thought we had Gordon going for a second. I was trying to sell him on you were a defensive specialist. I was like, he was just a defender.
Hunter.
He ran the court.
I'm the McAfee, right? I'm just taking dudes down in kickoff coverage. It's great.
All right, we got to wrap up the conversation on that and talk about another team in this region, and that is the Purdue Boilers, the number 2 seed, a really intriguing number 2 seed at that, fresh off a Big Ten tournament championship. Let's go to Andy now for more on the Boilers.
Thank you, Kylan. We're joined now by Locked On Boilermakers host Nick Arvin. Nick, Purdue was a stunning 7 seed in the Big Ten tournament. I could not believe that the 7 next to their name was not their actual AP ranking, but where they were ranked in the tournament. And yet, Matt Painter's team, they beat Nebraska, they beat UCLA, they beat Michigan, they win the whole dang thing. How important do you think having that momentum is for this program heading into the big dance?
I think it's huge. It was an improbable Big Ten tournament run. Never happened before. 4 wins in 4 days for the Boilermakers. And you see where they sneak into that 2 seed, backdoor the 2 seed. Matt Spartans go down to that 3 line. I like the draw for Purdue, but more importantly, I love the confidence that this instilled in my Boilermakers, because going into the conference tournament, we didn't know what this team would be, losing 3 out of their last 4. They lose to Wisconsin on senior day. And a lot of the talk surrounding this team is this just another underwhelming Purdue team? Now we sit here after beating the Wolverines, and you can't say that. We've beaten the best of the best, only one of 3 teams to beat Michigan this year. Purdue's done it, and I understand why there's so much hype surrounding this basketball team right now.
One of the biggest things, at least for me, when I'm filling out my bracket is always looking at teams that have veteran guard play. And I don't think there's a team that has more veteran guard play than Purdue. 2 seniors who've been there for 4 years. There's only 22 players in college basketball who've spent 4 years at the same school at this point. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, 2 incredible, phenomenal talents who've been in this program for such a long time. How critical do you think the 2 of them will be, knowing that the front court is critically important for this team as well, but how important do you think those 2 guards are going to be in terms of this team's ability to make a run, not just to the Sweet 16, but Elite 8, Final Four, all that?
It's going to be everything. Number 41, Braden Smith now, he's going to be huge throughout this tournament run, just 2 assists away from breaking that assist record. But when you look at Braden Smith, when you look at Fletcher Lawyer, that's Batman and Robin, and it has been over 4 years at Purdue. They have more experience than anybody else in the field this year, and I think that's going to come up big when you face off against a 15 seed in Queens. When you play through that West region, no one else has a Braden Smith or a Fletcher Lawyer. Those guys experienced losing in the first round against a 16 seed and then coming back, making it to a national championship. That experience is what's going to shape this team this year, and that's really the identity of this basketball team. I expect those 2 guys to really hold that identity and carry that into the tournament.
These 2 guys are battle-tested, and I'll tell you what, if they're going to make a run to the Elite 8 or Final Four this year, they're going to be battle-tested again. This is not an easy region for them. They got number 3 Gonzaga. They got number 1 Arizona they got to get through, and I don't even think it's an easy matchup between Miami and Missouri, and that's 7-10 as well. What do you think about the draw that this Purdue team got? Obviously, you're thrilled about the 2 seed, but how do you feel about the path they have in front of them?
It is tough playing in the West region. You could have been playing in Greenville, like in Illinois, though, having to maybe even go through a Houston. So compared to where we sat going into the Big Ten tournament, and, those tournament games, they do hold value, and we know that now. But Purdue, they get the 2 seed. I do like where we're at. Miami, Missouri, in St. Louis, that's going to be a tough one, assuming Purdue is able to take care of the ASUN champion Queens. Then you move on to the Sweet 16 with a win over a Miami or a Missouri. Then you probably have a Gonzaga or a BYU. You can't forget about the Cougars this year coming out of the Big 12. It's a tough West region, one that Purdue can take care of. I think there's a good route for them to get to the Elite 8. if you beat a Gonzaga or a BYU, but you can't take those matchups for granted. They're there for a reason. So for Purdue, you can talk about the 2 seed all you want, but it's about taking care of business in March. And I think that this year might be the time when Purdue's able to do that.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, feeling pretty excited about this Purdue team, the veteran experience, the front court with Oscar Clough, Trey Kaufman-Wren, the talent that they have up there. Feel good about their chances to advance. This Gonzaga team's missing a player in Braden Huff. We'll see how much of an impact that has, but you got to like Purdue's chances of making a run to the Elite Eight and beyond.
On we go to the Midwest region, where the number 1 seed is Michigan, Iowa State, the 2 seed, Virginia, the 3 seed, Alabama, the 4 seed. The regional championship here will be played in Chicago. Coming from a true Chicagoan myself. The intriguing matchup to watch in this one, we'll start with number 7 Kentucky taking on number 10 Santa Clara. And we're going to go right back to our resident WCC expert in Andy Patton. Kentucky a little banged up. But Andy, what's the outlook for the Broncos against a blue blood in the Wildcats? How could they pull it off?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kylan, our Locked On Kentucky host here with us, Lance Stahl, he was not happy when he saw the way that the bracket shook out. He knew that this Santa Clara team is not a good matchup for the Wildcats, especially, as you said, without Jaden Quaintance, the big man. Huge prize addition for the Wildcats this offseason. Unfortunately, has been able to play very little this year. Was coming off of an injury. Always a bit of a risk to take somebody who's hurt and just hasn't panned out for them. Jalen Lowe, their starting point guard, has been out as well for pretty much the entire season, not going to play here. So a banged-up Kentucky team. You like that if you're Santa Clara. This is a hot team. They played incredibly well throughout the conference. They picked up some really good non-conference wins as well. They're big. They're physical, especially for a team in a smaller conference. You don't always expect that, but this team, great on the offensive glass. Big man Alan Graves coming off the bench, a freshman that's not going to get a lot of attention nationally, certainly not in those conversations with all the great freshmen that we've been talking about, but a player who's been just tremendously productive all season long, plays about 22, 25 minutes a game off the bench, gets a lot of steals, a lot of blocks, really good three-point shooter at 6'9". He's a menace for this Santa Clara team. Christian Hammond, younger brother of great former Colorado point guard Julian Hammond, he's been tremendous for this team as well. And then Sash Gavaguyev, he's coming off the bench from Villanova transfer. He hit a game winner against St. Mary's in the WCC semifinals to send Santa Clara to the championship. This is the first time the Broncos have been dancing since 1995 when they had a small Canadian point guard named Steve Nash. I don't only think that Santa Clara is in the tournament and deserves to be here. I think they're going to win this game. I think Kentucky is a little too volatile, a little too inconsistent. They don't defend the three particularly well. They struggle on ball screens. Those are things that Santa Clara succeed at. Without Jaden Quaintance set down there to protect the post, I think this is a win for Santa Clara here.
The other point that you mentioned earlier is just the fact that this Kentucky team has struggled with physicality against some of the bigger teams they face, Florida, Gonzaga, Tennessee, a few that come to mind. And you pointed out Santa Clara, maybe bigger than you'd expect for a team out of the WCC. Jesse, is this another game where that physicality could end up playing dividends when you look at some of the interior battling and the rebounding?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, to what Gordon was saying earlier, the physicality dictates the pace. And if you can get offensive, defensive rebound and using that level of physicality, you get second chance points. You get the ball out on the break. And so that can lead to points in the fast break, second chance points. And those are the things that sometimes you don't quite always add into the equation. So that physicality is definitely a key. And I'm always a fan of a little bit of physicality.
Yeah. Real quickly on Kentucky, though, this is a team, Isaac, that struggled with adversity throughout the course of the season. They've got a couple guys who've been banged up recently, but also long-term injuries this season. Can you expand maybe upon some of the pieces up to the puzzle that have been missing big picture throughout the course of this 2025-26 campaign?
One of the great things for Kentucky is that with Jalen Lowe's injury that Andy just talked about, who steps in at point guard? One of last year's Florida Gator national champions, Denzel Aberdeen. That experience matters in a huge way in March, right? With him running the show now, for my money's worth, I think Otega Owe is the best player on the floor, SEC preseason player of the year. Malachi Moreno in the post has been a dude that has done far more than expected as a freshman. So Kentucky definitely has the pieces to do it, but in particular, I love that national champion experience from Denzel Aberdeen.
Yeah, experience can make the difference in March. Kentucky, Santa Clara. What are you going with?
After hearing both of these guys, I don't know who to
you have to make the decision. You've heard both sides of the argument.
Gordon, with Andy, I think Santa Clara is going to go all the way with the way he's talking about him over here.
Look, hear me say, I said all that, I'm going with Santa Clara.
Yeah. I do like Santa Clara in this one, honestly. I think the fact that they have the size to compete with some of the bigger boys means a lot.
get the Santa Clara Broncos team back to the level of success they saw during that Steve Nash era that Andy just mentioned. Another matchup to keep an eye on in the Midwest is the 8 versus 9 in Georgia taking on St. Louis. Jesse, this is another team, or another two teams like we talked about earlier, very high-scoring offenses. They've got a lot of pace. What are you expecting from that game?
Points, and more points. You're talking
Love
about,
to hear it.
Yeah, you're talking about two teams that can score the basketball, and that's what they're going to do. And we'll start with Georgia, talking about this is the team who has 8 games of over 100 points in those games, tied for the Division I, and they're led by Jeremy Wilkerson, and he's leading the way for them right now. They want to score points. They want to get out. They want to run. And this is their first time in 23 years since Georgia's been back-to-back into the NCAA tournament. So we're talking about a long time. They want to seize the moment, and they're going to score a lot of points. But we all love the good stories about the NCAA, right? And so a lot of you knew last year at Indiana State, you got, what do they call him? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Steph Blurry.
Steph Blurry. You got Robbie Avila. And so, he was the guy that a lot of people looked at last year, and it was on him to do it. Now he comes over to St. Louis, and he has some help, right? He has one of the best three-point shooting guys in Trey. What's he got? Trey. I'm losing his name right now. Trey Green. Trey Green. Right? He's the second best three-point shooter in the country. And so now he's surrounded. St. Louis, what they have as their superpower is depth. 9-man rotation that they're running out there. So not everything is on the big guy on the inside, but they're shooting the three ball at a high level. They got a great rotation, and both of these teams can score a tremendous amount of points.
St. Louis has one of the fastest and most efficient offenses in the country. They do a great job of creating on those no-dribble layups. The ball movement is elite, and then you pointed out Avila can really, facilitate as well as being the big guy inside. Can they possibly run their way to a win in this game? Can they get out and transition? When you look at a team like St. Louis going up against an SEC contender like a Georgia, do you think that's possible?
Well, I think that's the difference. It's that St. Louis is not used to playing these athletes. It's a
Right.
little bit step up, right? Mm-hmm. So they're used to running and gunning and scoring all these points, but can they do it against better athletes? More
physicality,
more physicality, the whole thing.
But that's what the 9-man rotation helps out, right?
Sure,
so I keep getting fresh guys in there all day long, and so that when you get into that second half of that game, those legs are still fresh because you had so many guys in that rotation.
And the A-10, look, it's not the SEC, but it's been better this year than it has been in other years. St. Louis started the season 24-1. We had all these other undefeated teams we talk about with Miami, Ohio edition, Vandy. Who am I thinking about? Nebraska, right? All those. St. Louis started off 24-1. Their lone loss, a 1-point loss to Stanford. Since then, though, down the stretch, they've gone 4-4. So St. Louis been a little bit of a funk here. I'm curious to see if they can get out of that. We'll see what happens, though.
St. Louis is a team a lot of experts I've seen is pegging maybe a Cinderella candidate to pull off some upsets. Certainly a team to keep an eye on. Another team to keep an eye on in this portion of the bracket is Texas Tech, the 5 seed in this region. The seeding certainly impacted by a major injury that Andy Patton will tell us more about and other things about the outlook for the Red Raiders.
Thank you, Kylan. All right, now we're joined today by Locked On Texas Tech host Chris Level. Chris, we got a number 5 seed for Texas Tech. They're taking on number 12 Akron in the first round, potentially Alabama after that, potentially Michigan after that. What were your thoughts seeing the draw for this Red Raiders team and the path they have to the Sweet 16?
Well, Andy, thanks for having me on. They're 500 since they lost JT Toppin, so we're not real sure what this team is right now. They've lost 3 in a row after winning 3. But I think Akron, you couldn't have asked for a more favorable draw, and not that Akron's going to be easy because I think a lot of people are picking Akron to win. But why I say that is this is a smaller Akron team. It's one of the smallest teams in Division I. Texas Tech's obviously missing their starting power forward, so you're not going to get exploited by a team that could potentially punish you inside. This is an Akron team that shoots the 3 ball well. That's what Texas Tech does. However, Akron really struggles to defend the 3. So all things considered, without having JT Toppin, not a bad draw at all. And I've never been to Tampa, so I'm looking forward to going.
Well, let's talk more about the Toppin injury. Obviously, it's just a heartbreaking thing to see happen. He goes down with this injury. You kind of, you never know when you're watching on TV or watching on the floor what happened, but it kind of felt like this isn't going to be good for them. We've seen this team kind of struggle without him, but also pick up some big wins. We've seen Christian Anderson really step up. Like, what do you think of the job specifically that Coach McCaslin has done to kind of get this team to continue to play at a high level and come into this tournament with a top 5 seed, even missing an All-American caliber player, and an All-American player in JT Toppin?
Yeah, and the Christian and JT were two of the most high usage players in the country. I mean, just ran the pick and roll unbelievably well. They threw it to JT in the half court a lot and let him just kind of go to work. And then whenever he would get double teamed, they would pass out of that. So they've kind of had to reinvent themselves, spread out the floor a little bit more. You've seen Lawan Watts operate in the low post a bit more. You've kind of spread your shooters out, more off the ball movement, and not so stagnant in the half court, because it was pretty simple before with JT. And it's been a mixed bag ever since he got hurt. I think you've seen some good, you've seen some not so good. I think where they maybe miss JT the most is certainly on the glass, but on the defensive end. That's really where he's such a good scorer and rebounder, but I think he's also a very good defender, and I don't think people realize that until you don't have him. So guys like Luke Bamboye and Lawan Watts have had to step up.
Well, one of the things that you talked about, Anderson and Toppin both being super high usage guys, but we really have seen that depth in a lot of ways step up. It was a kind of a source of concern for this team early in the year, is like, what are we going to get from Lawan Watts? And a guy like Tyree Bryan kind of didn't step into the role I think a lot of people thought for him, but now we've seen Atwell play great. We've seen Watts step up. We've seen Jalen Petty have some good performances. Like, how important do you think the depth is for this team to make, again, not just to beat Akron, but to make a deeper run?
Yeah, and you mentioned Jalen Petty. He's a freshman. He's never played in the NCAA tournament, obviously, and he's their margin for error guy. This is a very talented freshman. It's not the biggest kid, but he could go for 20 or he could go for 4, and you're not sure which. If he's really scoring and playing well, but they've leaned on him a bit more to give Christian some time off the ball, and then asked him to score a bit more. And he's also a really good rebounder. He's got a 42-inch vertical. He's only 6 foot, but he I think has pulled down 8 or 9 rebounds multiple times in Big 12 games, which says a lot. And then Josiah Mosley is the other depth piece that I think has really stepped up. He can play the 4 or the 5. He debuted versus Houston this year, so he missed all of the whole season, and then played, I think late in January was the first game he played, and he's been kind of up and down a bit, but he's a great piece to add to the puzzle, and he's going to have to step up and provide some minutes in the post, certainly if they hope to beat Akron and go forward.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate having your expertise. Folks, I'm sticking with Texas Tech in this game. I think, like Chris said, nice matchup against Akron. We'll see if they can continue to advance without JT Toppin, but Coach McCaslin is not a coach to bet against here in the tournament.
Thank you, Andy. Moving on south. The number 1 seed there is Florida. The number 2 seed is Houston, and the regional final will be played in Houston. Likely a big factor to keep an eye on. Illinois, the 3 seed, also a team to watch. Very interesting. And then Nebraska, the 4 seed, looking for the program's first ever NCAA tournament win. Now, the matchup that these experts here at the desk have their eye on is number 5 Vanderbilt taking on number 12 McNeese State. Could there be upset potential here? Well, one Gordon Hayward does not believe so. You said it with your whole chest to me when we were off the air, so why don't you explain why?
Well, I think that out of anybody besides St. John's, who I talked about being underseeded yesterday, I think Vanderbilt has a real case here. They are 12th in KenPom, 7th in offense. They just dog-walked Florida in the conference tourney. Yep. I mean, they're on fire. And so I think it's for them. You could say maybe one knock is like their rebounding. They don't rebound it as well as they should. But the nice thing for them is they're going to be playing McNeese, who also doesn't rebound that well. So they'll get a
weakness on weakness.
That's right. So they don't only have to worry about that too much. I guess for me, with McNeese, what they do really, really well is force turnovers. They lead the nation in turning people over. Unfortunately for them, Vanderbilt, as I mentioned, 7th in offense. They rely on their backcourt, solid guards. So turning them over is probably going to be difficult, but you never know. It's March Madness, and we're going to amp up the pressure if we're McNeese and try to get those guys to just not be comfortable out there. So I'm picking Vanderbilt. I think it's more of a 3 versus 12, not a 5 versus 12. But,
fair enough.
I like that.
Here's the question that I have. Historic turnaround under second-year head coach Mark Byington. This is a Vanderbilt program that has not been here before. And I look at them going up against a McNeese State that if they do come out early, get them a little bit frazzled, get physical, and get up in their grill in the backcourt, could we see this Vandy team, maybe let the train go off the tracks a little bit, because this is a bigger stage and this program has been in historically. How would you describe the pressure in these types of games, Jesse, for maybe players, programs, coaches that are trying to do something relatively new for their school.
But this is when you rely on your conference, right? When you're able to go into these different venues and play up against these different conference, it means a little bit more. And so that when you get into the NCAA moments, it's not this big surprise. You've been there before, you've faced tough competition, and you have that experience on your side. And so I don't think Vandy looks at this and says, we're going up against McNeese State. No matter what they do, we've already seen it, and we've seen it at a much higher rate than them. It's all about keeping the composure, getting the ball into people's hands that need to have the ball, and then calming the seas when it gets a little bit choppy. So I don't think the first round, it gives you too much of that that nervousness and angstness when you're going up against a McNeese State. Now, when you're going up against more notable names, maybe, but I think Vandy will fare very well.
And not only that, not only the SEC preparation, but they have just one freshman, honestly, in their main rotation. Everybody else, upperclassmen on this team. By the way, that one freshman, anybody know his name? Chandler Bing, who notably has literally said he has never seen friends in his life. Can you believe that?
Wait, what?
I know.
That's his name, and he's never
Chanandler Bong, for all those who have seen Friends. That was his TV guide name. But seriously, I love Gordon's point here about Vanderbilt's a little bit undersized in the front court with Devin McLaughlin, with Okereke. Got Jalen Washington coming off the bench, a little more size. But it's all about the backcourt. Duke Miles, who's back from injury and balling again. Plus Tyler Tanner, man, that head of hair. Ooh, it's beautiful. I love it.
And you've got a thing for a head of hair, don't you?
I do.
Looking at your own. McNeese State, though, listen, they were one of the maybe more fun or best storylines of the tournament last year. They pulled off a first-round upset, of course, fell to, are you giving yourself, was that a flex?
No, that's Arakan.
Giving
He's
yourself
back.
credit? Oh, okay, that was an Arakan. That was an
with
Arakan.
the boombox.
So,
Let's go.
so also, if you were unaware, last year their manager went viral. Arakan walking around with a boombox, usually walked the team out of the tunnel. Everybody loved it. They went nuts. Good news on that, by the way. Arakan is back at McNeese State. It was breaking news last year that after the tournament wrapped up, he transferred to NC State, followed the former McNeese State head coach Will Wade, who's now in charge over at NC State in Raleigh, and now he's back at McNeese State, transferring mid-year just in time for March. So maybe he's the good luck charm that McNeese State needs. Can you help me out here, Andy? I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to give the people something to talk about back at home outside of Vandy's going to roll McNeese State.
Yeah, I was with you on the last one, but I got to be honest, I'm rolling Vandy in this one as well. Sorry, Kylan. Vandy, I came with Duke Miles healthy. Tyler Tanner coming off a rough game, but they still rolled Florida, like Gordon said. I really like this Vanderbilt team. I think they're going to win this one. McNeese, great storyline. The fact that they're even back in the tournament. I mean, they played
new head coach.
A new head coach. They played a really good Stephen F. Austin team that I thought was going to be the team dancing this year. I think they 28-3, lost in the championship game. Two phenomenal teams in that conference. But ultimately, I do think Vanderbilt is playing good basketball right now. While I don't know that Chandler Bing's going to be a big impact in this game necessarily, I do ultimately think Vandy's going to win.
I'm just dying. I'm like 0 for 5 at the desk with these guys in the last 2 days. North Carolina taking on VCU, the 6 versus 11 seed in this region, is another one that could maybe surprise some folks, maybe, depending on who you ask. Probably not if you ask these two gentlemen who are at the desk with me. Now, don't fight each other here for this and who gets to talk first, but we've got a couple experts on the Tar Heels. Who wants to have the first word? I'll let you guys
The guy that actually played for them gets the
I
first
thought
word.
you were on the baseball team, right? Is that what you
I've since switched. It was underwater basket weaving. That was my.
Here's the thing for the Tar Heels. Right now, you don't have Caleb Wilson coming into this tournament, and that's a huge blow. But now, where do you go to next? You got Seth Trimble, who is the senior of this group. I think the biggest thing that Coach Davis has talked about all year long is about, are you going to be tough enough?
Yeah.
Right. That's the biggest thing for Carolina. Are you going to be tough enough? And then they can't have these lows that they have throughout the game. They'll come out and they'll have these turnover lows and these scoring lows. And then the biggest thing is, are they going to finish the basketball game? You watch them. We've watched them. We've watched them.
Yeah,
of course we did.
We've watched them.
All year long, and then they get into these late in these games, and they can't make free throws. They turn the ball over. They can't score points. And this is the one place when you're getting to the tournament is you don't want to go on long scoring lows. And the Tar Heels have done that many times this season. My hope is, my prayer is for my beloved Tar Heels is that they have worked all the kinks out over the last couple of days in practice, and that they come out and they are a physical team who finishes, who makes free throws, and the others get involved in this as well.
some of those others, you got to have Luka Bogovac stepping up, making shots in this game.
And not turning the ball over, Luka.
Not turning the ball over. Another freshman. Yes, Caleb Wilson is out with an injury, but Derek Dixon now runs the point guard. He took over from Kyan Evans, the Colorado State transfer midseason. He steps up in like little spurts of games. Yeah. He's got to be dynamic throughout the game, Derek Dixon, who is averaging 14 points a game the last 3, shooting about over 40-something% from 3. It's really interesting. And Jesse, should the Tar Heels win this game against VCU, you know who's probably going to be their opponent in the second round?
Who's that?
A team you played in the 2005 National Championship game. It might be a rematch of the Heels and the Illini. How's that feel for you? Some Deron Williams action, some D. Brown.
We won, so it doesn't make me no difference.
I love
they need
Illinois
to get their
team. I'm from Chicago.
They need to get their look back. We don't need to get our look back.
Brown jersey. Oh, I was so sad. I thought the Illini were going to do it that year, but no, it wasn't meant to be. All right, Gordon, how does VCU get it done? How do they get the upset?
I heard everything I needed to hear from Jesse over here. North Carolina, it sounds like North Carolina might give it to them, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
missing free throws.
Yeah.
Turning the ball over and being soft. Mm-hmm. Like that's a recipe for losing a game. So VCU just playing the game, and it sounds like North Carolina's going to give it to them.
That's
what I heard. That's what I heard.
Let them beat
This
themselves.
is a 6-11 game.
Execute the game plan.
Yeah, this is a 6-11 game that's only got a 2.5-point spread. That's wild.
Right.
Plus, the numbers say we got to have some 11 beat a 6. So
not this one.
This is the one.
This is
the
one
right here.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I've been reverse jinxing the Tar Heels all season by picking against them, so I'm going to do it here. VCU's going to win this game.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
Actually,
coming from a player on the team.
I'm cheering for the upset, so I'm here for it.
From a player?
No, my bracket says otherwise. I'm just going the jinx.
All right, we'll go with the jinx. Well, UNC has struggled down the final stretch of the season with losses to Duke and NC State. Could they possibly be up by VCU? We'll let you make the decision at home as you're making that bracket. Now, number 3, Illinois, who we just touched on, could be a team that could go far if they can pull off potentially an upset, widely viewed as being a contender to go late in this tournament with a lot of talent on this roster for Brad Underwood. But Andy Patton is going to tell us much more about the Illini with a special guest.
Thank you, Kylan. We got more Big Ten conversations here, joined now by Locked On Illini host Sonny Verna. Sonny, I want to talk about this first-round matchup for this team. Obviously, 3 seed feels about right for Illinois, but you're facing off against a coach who's got a lot of familiarity with Illinois, with the Big Ten. Fran McCaffrey and Penn, incredible story, how they got here with that amazing win over Yale. What are your initial thoughts about this specific matchup against Fran and this Penn team?
Well, I can tell you someone who's not excited about it, and that's Brad Underwood. Brad and Fran are very good friends, and Fran obviously has that familiarity with Brad and with Illinois as a program, having coached at Iowa for so long. They've got a superstar level basketball player on their team, and when you think about it, when it comes to 14 seeds, I'm sure Brad probably would have preferred a different option. Penn is a team that shoots a lot of three-pointers, and how do you beat Illinois? If your three-point shots are falling and theirs aren't, well, that's a path to victory. And so it's one that Brad and the Illini staff for sure are going to be a little stressed out about, but they've got to take care of business if they're able to get that monkey off the back when it comes to Brad Underwood and his performances in March.
Yeah, and another team that kind of came into the tournament not exactly playing their best basketball, 4-5 over the last 9, which isn't horrible, but also last time you guys beat a team that's currently in the NCAA tournament was February 1st. That was against Nebraska. Been a while since seen a high-level win from this Illini team. Concern about kind of the momentum for this club right now and kind of Underwood's ability to maybe turn it around for this tournament?
I think the concern is all about the confidence level. The worst part is the only game that they were clearly outclassed in all those matchups was Michigan. Everything else, I think it's 4 straight overtime losses. You're talking about 1-possession games where a bounce here or a defensive stop here or a defensive rebound here, and you're on the winning side. So I think now the question more so is, we know the team is talented. You've lost to Wisconsin twice now, but both times it goes into overtime, and it really comes down to a last possession type of game. Can they convert those opportunities? Because in March, when you think of what March Madness is all about, it comes to those last final possessions. Are they going to be able to grab that final rebound that they weren't able to during the regular season? That's going to determine whether Illini fans are going to be happy or not this month.
Well, Keaton Wagler has been one of the biggest storylines in college basketball this year. In a freshman class that's been nothing short of tremendous. He has been a player that has come seemingly out of absolutely nowhere to be a dominating force, 40-point games, leading this team as a jumbo-sized point guard. But while we're going to talk a lot about him here on the show, I want to hear your thoughts on maybe an X factor for this team, maybe somebody that's not Wagler or even one of the other superstars who you think might be a catalyst to a deep run for the Illini.
You mentioned Keaton Wagler, and it's well-deserved. He is one of the best freshmen in this crazy freshman class in all of college basketball. But if it wasn't for Keaton, I do think a lot of people would be talking about David Mirkovic. Mirkovic has grown into being not just one of the best players on the basketball team, but one of its leaders. And I do think that David, again, there's nothing he doesn't do. He's your secondary ball playmaker. Essentially, if Keaton's not bringing the ball up the court, their 6'9", 255-pound power forward is the one bringing it up the court. You can run your offense through him. He's shooting over 40% from three-point land in conference play. He can take it to the rim. He brought back the old school little hook shot. He's a kid who I know Keaton is going to get the fanfare and the attention because he deserves it. But if it wasn't for Keaton, I do think David Mirkovic would have the numbers where he'd be considered in the same elite class as some of these other names.
Sonny, thank you so much. I love this Illini team, high octane offense. I think there's a chance that they'll make a deep run. Maybe not coming in with all the momentum, but I trust in Brad Underwood to be able to turn this thing around and get this team going here in March.
Right after I tell you about Game Time, the biggest stretch of the college basketball season is here, and it starts kind of tonight in the play-in games.
Sure,
I'm going to watch them.
Yeah.
If
you're a Will Wade, Sean Miller fan, it does.
Yeah. That's fun. Those unforgettable moments like we're going to see tonight is what everyone's going to be talking about tomorrow at the water coolers. Dwight Schrute's going to join you there. What do you guys hear? What's the scuttlebutt? Being there live for something like that, man, that's bucket list stuff. The hard part, though, is often getting tickets to those events. Prices jump up on you at checkout, long lines, all of it. The Game Time app, though, is giving the advantage back to you, the fans, with constant innovation. That's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. So simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And the best part, what you see is what you pay, period. There are no surprise fees. I also love the seat view feature where you can see it, man. It's so good. No stress, no guesswork. Smooth experience. If you want to go check out, man, any of these games we're talking about in this episode, if you're a fan of one of those schools, it's happening in Buffalo, Tampa, Philly, St. Louis. Go find tickets to those sessions on Game Time and take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with the app. Download it, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. This episode is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome into the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which ones are sleepers you need to check out as well. Andy, the board is set. The flavors are ready, and only one can be the top spot. For me, that number one overall draft pick is strawberry banana. This is a flavor combo I've loved my whole life. Smoothies, yogurt, ice cream, milkshakes, whatever it is, I'm here for it. And so when I learned that 5 Hour Energy's got strawberry banana, dude, I am all in. I love the sweet strawberry flavor, some banana on the back end. But I want to let you in on my my sleeper pick here, the one that I am maybe even more excited about. Your boy is a Georgia dude. Yeah. I love anything peach flavored. Mix it with a mango. Come on, man. Peach mango, you need to check it out. It might be your new favorite too. But what we want you to do is let us know all about your new favorite flavors of 5 Hour Energy. You can do that when you check out these 5 Hour Energy shots. Go check it out. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or over at Amazon. 5 Hour Energy. Get yours today.
Thanks so much, Andy. Okay, so the fun part about March Madness is what? Filling out the brackets, making your predictions, and then seeing that bracket get busted on the first day, hours into the tournament, because that's always how it seems to go. We all filled out brackets, we made our predictions, and we're going to follow along and keep up with it throughout the course of the tournament to see who does the best. So right now we're going to reveal our final 4 predictions, starting with Isaac. Cluck, cluck, baby. Who you got in your final 4?
Not the Hogs, unfortunately. I know.
We wanted to keep the old McDonald thing going.
I know. We started this show talking about how strong are the 1 seeds. I've only got one of them in my Final Four this year. Yes.
Spicy. Ooh,
I'll say this. I didn't expect that. Like, I'm a kind of guy where I don't start with my Final Four in mind and work backwards. Like, I legitimately like to work my way through each game and kind of figure out where it's going to go, right?
Yeah.
So, in the East, I got Michigan State coming out of this thing to be my pick 3 seed.
Two Big Ten teams I see on this Final
Four.
Four.
It's crazy. And they're both on the left side of the bracket. We talked about Illinois earlier, had our great host Sonny Verma on. I've got the Illini coming out of the South region also as a 3 seed. They've got some defensive issues, but man, this team can go offensively. The Eastern Bloc can do it. Keaton Wagler, one of my favorite freshmen in the entire country. I love what they're bringing to the table with the Ivisic brothers and Mirkovic, all of that. Moving to the right side of the bracket here, I've got Arizona coming out of the West. The 1 seed there, that is my lone 1 seed to be in this conversation and arrive in Indy. And then coming out of the Midwest, I've got Iowa State upsetting Michigan in the Midwest. And so that's my 2 seed there. So we got Michigan State, Arizona in the national championship game. And I believe the Wildcats of Arizona are the most complete team in the nation. They don't take a bunch of threes because they don't have to. Yeah. They got it going. Jaden Bradley is this dude at guard who can make it happen. Ivan Matlakovic, Ivan Karchenkov, excuse me, I had my wrong European fella.
Yeah, there's a lot of European names.
He's just exploded and been able to do a lot defensively. You got these dynamic freshmen in Braden Burries and Koa Pete. You got Anthony Del Orso, the Australian coming off the bench. It's been dropping buckets lately. Just Arizona's cooking. I got them as my national champions.
I need to dig into something here for a second. Michigan getting upset. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a teaser for my bracket because I've got Michigan going all the way. Yes, they faltered in the Big Ten Tournament Championship. Purdue, though, is a very good team. Braden Smith can take over any game, I believe, against any opponent in the country. Why do you feel so strongly about the Cyclones being able to get it done and go to the Final Four?
Part of it's on both teams, if I'm being honest. I talked about it on our previous show where I think Michigan has started to trend down a little bit. I think they might have peaked a little bit too early, but Iowa State just has this TJ Otzelberger, their head coach. He's got this defensive capability for them. Joshua Jefferson, who I always want to call Justin Jefferson, shouts to my wide receivers, is just one of the most versatile dudes in the country, should be a first-team All-American. Taman Lipsey has been around forever in Ames, and they're just able to do it at such a high level. Milan Momcilovic has been one of my favorite players in the country for a couple years now. Like one of the best three-point shooters in the nation this year at like 6'9", just a freak athlete. I just think they have the pieces that can upset the Wolverines in the Elite Eight.
Well, Isaac does nothing but eat, sleep, breathe, watch college basketball at all times. So I actually grabbed his bracket when we were making our brackets. I was like, can I just do a little sneak peek comparison of where mine's at and where Isaac's is at so that I feel a little bit better about myself? And the one area we differed is that I do have Michigan going all the way. But some good predictions there. Now it is time to turn our attention to Gordon. Yeah. Your Final Four picks in this year's NCAA tournament. What you got?
Well, he kind of stole some of my thunder. I do have Arizona going all the way as well.
Let's go.
I do think same thing. They're the best team that's played in the best conference all year. Yeah. They're super deep. They can do a little bit of everything. They got a good youth, good experience. It's really we've talked about these last few days, like having a good guard and guards win, and Jaden Bradley is that guy for him. So with also Koa Pete's a monster. So I do have Arizona going. My East bracket, I think it's the East bracket, right? Like UConn. I have that bracket. I'm not like extremely excited about the UConn pick. I kind of do the same thing that Isaac does. I'm filling it out game by game, and I get to the finals and I have UConn in the Final Four. I have Duke actually losing to St. John's. I really think the matchup.
Really? That is spicy.
I love the matchup with Zuby and Boozer. I really just think that's going to be must-see TV. Now, hopefully St. John's can get there. They have to beat Kansas first. They have to beat, Northern Iowa first, and then they have to potentially beat Kansas to get there. But would love to see that matchup. I do have, like I said, UConn getting to the Final Four, so we'll see if that works out. In the, the South region, I have Houston, and mostly just because I don't like Florida, as I discussed earlier. Yeah. I actually have Vanderbilt beating them, and you have a matchup that you just had in the SEC tournament, so you're basically looking at Houston playing at home. Houston playing at home against an Illinois team. I think they might just overwhelm them and run them out the gym. So I have Houston going back again to the Final Four. Actually, I have Houston playing in the national championship against Arizona. And then on that last bracket, I do have Iowa State as well. I just think that don't love Michigan, unfortunately. Sorry, Kylan. I think Michigan just disappoints me a little bit for the exact same reasons that Isaac has. And I do love their 6'9" shooter. I mean, I love a guy that can shoot like that.
Lendeborg,
No,
yeah.
Iowa State.
Yeah, sorry.
I need Lendeborg too. Immediately came to mind.
If he was a shooter, I'd be picking Michigan all day. And he can shoot, but I don't.
Shoot?
You wouldn't say he's a shooter.
No,
though.
but
you know what I mean. Like you would say, how do you say his name?
Momcilovic.
Momcilovic. Anybody with an itch last name, they're a shooter. Let's just say that. They can shoot the ball. We all know that. So. Those are my 4 teams. I got Arizona winning the whole thing, though.
Just so you know, Illinois has a Vitch on their team.
They got
a
a lot
man.
of them, too.
They do have a couple
Stojakovic,
of big.
Ivasic, Mirkovic. I mean, it goes on.
Ivasic is more of a big man. All right. So let's move along. We'll get you off the hot seat here, Gordon, and find out exactly what the other player who's actually been a part of this tournament is going with in terms of your final 4 predictions. Jesse, lay it out for us.
So for me, coming out of the East, we always talk about storylines. To me, the most talented player in the country is Darren Peterson.
Yes.
And I just think that he's going to have a historic NCAA run.
Kemba candidate?
Yes.
Kemba Walker?
That Kemba type of I just think, I know that he has the injuries through the season. Some people are saying, well, is he faking some of it? Is the people saying something? Yeah. I just think when he gets into the tournament, this is where stars are born. This is when all eyes are on you. And this can really make or break your stock. Not make or break. He's going to be fine in that part. But it can really be like a legacy thing and really propel you. I just think we're about to see a legendary run from Darren Peterson. So I got Kansas coming out of the East for me.
Let's go.
For the West, I think we're all on the same page with Arizona. Sure. They are the most dominant.
I was like,
which means they're guaranteed to lose, right?
In the country, they don't have many weaknesses. They can do it all. They can score inside. They can score outside. They play defense. They have ball players. They have playmakers. Arizona is just straight up and down. They're legit,
and they're the healthiest too.
And they're the healthiest.
Healthy going into it.
Now here's where I come. I come to my Midwest, and I don't honestly have a rhyme or reason. I picked Michigan. And this might be, Michigan may have the easiest region to get to the Final Four. When you look at all the teams in there aren't really many threats in that region for Michigan. I think sometimes when you go from, conference play, regular season, and tournament play and all that kind of stuff, you reset. You have a moment to kind of reset, to look over the season, to look over what you've done, and then look forward to the tournament. I think Michigan finds its way to get back to that, peaking again to those winning ways. And there's no real threats to them in this section of the region. So I got Michigan in the Final Four, and then Houston is my other Final Four coming out of the South. Wanting to get back to play a Final Four game at home.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing.
Yeah, Sweet 16 or Elite 8 at home. Final Four being in the
Excuse me.
But still, Elite 8 to go to the Final Four.
On the way to it.
On the way to the Final Four. But just the way that this team is built, Kelvin Sampson, he's a tough coach. They're going to be tough. They're going to play defense. And then he has everything that you want. So that's my Final Four. I got Houston playing Arizona in the championship game, and I have Arizona winning it all.
I like it.
Yeah,
Michigan in the Final Four. I love it. I love it. All right. Andy Patton, what do you got for your Final Four predictions, my friend?
Yeah, a lot of similarities. I think if we haven't seen Collins yet, but I don't know if any of us have Duke in the Final Four. We'll see. I have Michigan State coming out of the East region, similar to the logic that Isaac had. I think no Caleb Foster for Duke is a big storyline for them. I think the fact that Michigan State has Jeremy Fears, one of the best passers in the country. They have the size in the front court with Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler. Cohen Carr is going to dunk all over everybody if you haven't seen him yet. One of the most athletic players in college basketball. A tremendous athlete.
He needs to be in the NBA slam dunk contest. Sorry, I started that this year. His dunks in game are unbelievable. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's great. And I think for Michigan State too, Tom Izzo, obviously, again, we talked a lot about the storyline being the tremendous coaches in this region in particular, but Tom Izzo's been there. He's done this before. I think he's going to get this team here. And then going over to the West region, I also have Arizona coming out of the West, just a team that so deep. So talented, top to bottom, 1 through 9. Really, again, Koa Pete, Braden Burry is the tremendous freshman for this team. You also have veteran experience in Jaden Bradley. One of the big things I always look for when I'm filling out my bracket is veteran guard play. It matters so much in March. Jaden Bradley is a true vet. He's been there. He hit that incredible shot in the Big 12 tournament, one of the most ridiculous Kawhi Leonard-esque shots to win that game for them. I got Zona coming out of that bracket. And then I also got Iowa State coming out of the Midwest region as well. Isaac touched on it a lot, but for me, it's the Joshua Jefferson, Yaxel Lendeberg matchup. I think Jefferson's one of the few players who's big enough, strong enough, athletic enough to really handle Lendeberg, to give him trouble on both ends of the floor. I think Yaxel's going to have to lock in on him, and I think because of that, it's going to make him not as effective as an off-ball defender. That could help Tamin Lipsey be able to get to the rim with ease. Again, the veteran guard play comes into play here as well with Tamin Lipsey for that roster. So give me Iowa State, and then give me Houston. Again, I think Houston's just a wagon.
You were on the Houston train last year.
I was on the Houston train last year, and I was a shot away from being right about that last year.
You were awfully close.
And a lot of guys coming back. So you got guys coming back from a national championship team. Obviously, that is also true of Florida. But I think that matchup being in Houston, huge benefit for Kelvin Sampson and the Cougs. They're a young team, but they've really come into their own this year. I think Kelvin Sampson said a few months ago, I don't want to have a freshman team anymore. I'm done. I'm tired of all the freshmen. But Kingston Flemings has been, he was the 3rd highest ranked freshman on this roster, and now he's the 5th or 6th best freshman, best player really in the country, hanging 46 against Texas Tech earlier this year. Just an incredibly talented player, gifted facilitator. With him, with the guys coming back like Uzan and Sharp and Tugler from that national championship team playing at home, give me Houston going to the Final Four. Give me Houston, Arizona, same as you, Jesse, but I do have a different winner. I'm taking Houston. I was the Houston guy last year.
Riding the Cougs.
Riding with the Cougs. I think Kelvin Sampson finally gets his championship here.
Can we get a little rare from you, Andy? Or is that
just...
Little cougar.
Yes!
The cougar.
There we go. A diehard Coug right there. Love to see it. And I love that we had a couple similarities because the next bracket reveal is my Final Four reveal. And I went a little contrarian to some of these guys and who I anticipated you would pick. But one thing that Andy and I did have in common was Duke being the team that makes it out of the East. I'm looking at your guys' brackets and I'm like, did no one watch the ACC tournament? Yes, they've got a major injury, but Caden Boozer stepped up in a big way. He put up impressive numbers. He handled the ball. He's clearly capable of running this offense. And then you've got the other Boozer, of course, his twin, who has been one of, if not the best freshman in the country. I just look at this Duke team. It's still being complete. John Shire is an elite coach. And then I kind of look at who else is in this bracket as a factor as well. I thought it was interesting. A couple of you guys picked Michigan State because as someone who's watched the Spartans all season, I love the fact they're still relying on Tom Izzo basketball and defending, rebounding, running, toughness. They still can't shoot the three. They still can be inconsistent offensively. Yes, they can run, but can they score in a couple of different ways? If you shut down individual players, they've struggled at times with having different guys step up. So I don't know that I believe Michigan State has a Final Four in them. I can see Elite Eight for sure. So I do think that was an interesting one compared to where some of you guys are at. I'm going to stay on the left side of the bracket and roll down to the South region. I did not have Florida. I also took Houston because I do think that the home court advantage is going to be a major factor. And for this Florida team, they faltered in the SEC tournament. I do factor in, aside from when it comes to Michigan, I do factor in some of the recent play. Florida, of course, looking to run it back and win a national championship, which just statistically is not often done. So I also think that's really difficult to be able to have that longevity over the course of a season, have that long of a season, back-to-back years. It's just incredibly difficult to do. And as Andy pointed out, as a couple of you guys pointed out, this Houston team is incredibly tough. They can defend. They have experience. They've been in these types of moments. And again, I think that pays dividends when it comes to 1-2 possession games, having veterans who have been there before compared to some of the other teams that are going to be relying on some youth. And then moving on to the West. So I did not go with Arizona. I didn't go with Arizona. Now, the right side of my bracket is, spoiler up, baby. The right side of my bracket is where I went a little bit contrarian on purpose because I went with Michigan and then I went with Purdue to be two of our Big Ten teams that make the Final Four. Again, did you guys not watch these conference tournaments? The way that Purdue just rolled Michigan, they were in control wire to wire throughout that game. Braden Smith is arguably the best point guard in the country. He is a player who we saw and we've seen throughout the course of the season can take over games when he wants wants to, when he turns it on. He has incredible physicality, the way he can work in ball screens. You cannot go under on a ball screen against Braden Smith, but he has the ability to pass and facilitate and also score from the outside. So I just look at him, what they've got in the front court, and adding Oscar Clough with some physicality and some rebounding, Trey Coffin-Wren back. So you've got a couple guys who've been in some of those situations. You've got some experience. And I just could see Purdue as maybe being that team that's surprising some folks. And that's not to take away from what Arizona is doing. Sure. But I just felt like it was a little boring to go with another number one seed. So like maybe Purdue will be a team that really shocks some people, because I do think it would be a shock for them to take down Arizona. So I don't want to take away from that.
Preseason number one, though, Purdue.
Yeah, but right. I mean, the expectations were high. They faltered throughout the course of the season, but it seems like they're back and in a really good flow. And again, I just look at Braden Smith as being a player who could take this team all the way, or at least to a national championship again.
And
of course, no Zach Edey.
Sure, and that's what I want to get to. What a cool full circle moment that would be for Smith and Lawyer in that backcourt, who
and
so much of their freshman and sophomore years were about, it's just because they got Zach Edey. That's it. Like, how good would that be for them to be able to do it, to get to that Final Four without Zach Edey, to say, look, we are just as capable of getting there. Like, vindication for the Smith-Lawyer backcourt. Smith-Lawyer 26, right?
They're running for president now?
Yeah, absolutely they are.
All right, well, maybe that. And then you saw, obviously, I had Michigan, and we'll be talking a lot more about Michigan. Hopefully in the upcoming shows, if they don't get bounced in the first round, which I'm very much hoping does not happen, because I do have them as my national champion. Now, we don't have time to run you through every single pick for all of our experts here on the desk, but we did want to share this information with you in case you do want to follow along with who Isaac might have picked, who Andy might have picked. Don't follow my bracket. That's my only piece of advice for folks. So we are going to show you who they had in the NCAA tournament, starting with Isaac's. And if you pause and press on your screen right there, you can see all of Isaac's selections. So just take a look. If you feel good about who his picks are, if you don't, I don't blame you. That's kind of where I was going with this. But here, Isaac Shade's picks for the entire NCAA tournament bracket, should you want to mirror his. I say that, but I also was copying Isaac. And then we also have, of course, Gordon Hayward, someone who's been in this type of moment, came up just short. Just short.
I would say to the right more than short.
That's right.
Absolutely fair.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not that you've measured and thought a lot about it.
Yes. So again, just pause on your screen if you want to take a look at any of our individual experts brackets. So Isaac, Gordon, of course, Jesse, who's won it all, you just saw on your screen. So maybe you want to go with the winner here amongst our panel. I'm sorry, Gordon. You know what?
I would do the same thing.
I'm patting you on the back. You know what? I'm just saying he has won it all. So Jesse, a good person to follow. Andy Patton.
Sean Mayo or Ray Felton on that side. You want to take that bracket out.
Somebody lift up.
And then you saw Andy Patton and my bracket as well, but I do not encourage you to pause and take a look at that. But we appreciate you joining us for this edition of Fire TV's Bracket Breakdown. We've got a lot more fun coming your way here on Fire TV Bracket Breakdown, presented by Xfinity. Be sure to check out our special previews where we dive into the fantastic freshman class competing in the big dance this season and the big name coaches who are looking to add to their legacy. That's it for now. Thanks so much for being here, and we will see you next time.